All right, of course, still talking security. Troops of Operation Hardenkai working closely with local vigilantes have foiled a terrorist logistic movement and killed 17 insurgents in an ambush operation in Borno State. The latest development is part of ongoing fight against insurgency in the northeast. Our correspondent Jesse Tafida has the rest of the story.
In the early hours of December 21st, 2025, troops of Operation Hardenkai went into action, armed not just with weapons, but with credible intelligence. Acting on information about the movement of logistic supplies by suspected JAS and ISWAP terrorists, troops working alongside members of the Civilian Joint Task Force and local hunters moved into concealed positions between Sajuri and Kayamla villages. Suspected terrorists riding bicycles and ferrying logistics materials arrived at the interception point, unaware they had walked into a carefully planned ambush. Troops engaged swiftly and decisively. During the firefight, 17 insurgents were neutralized, while several others fled with gunshot wounds, effectively crippling the group's supply chain. Items recovered from the scene reveal the scale of the disruption operation: bicycles used for movement, food items, drugs and medical supplies, detergents, clothing materials, torchlights, bicycle tires and assorted weapons with ammunition. These supplies, military sources say, were intended to sustain terrorist operations in the area. Following the successful engagement, troops safely withdrew to their base, with follow-up exploitation ongoing to further dominate the area and deny insurgents freedom of movement. Military authorities described troops' morale as high, with fighting efficiency strong and unwavering, pointing to the growing impact of intelligence-led joint security operations involving the military and local communities. Jesse Tafida, TVC News, Maiduguri.
All right, at this point, let's bring in Patrick Agbambu, who is the Chief Executive Officer, Security Watch Africa, who joins us live now on the news to give a sweeping view of the security, from a security perspective. Good to have you with us this evening.
Thank you so much.
All right, having secured the release of the 130 children, how does this victory reflect on the coordinated efforts of the security agencies?
Yeah, it's a cheering news. We're happy that the work that has been intensified in the last few weeks has resulted to the final release of the last batch of the school girls, which is part of the kinetic and non-kinetic efforts of the security of agencies and the discussions that was spearheaded by the Office of the National Security Advisor. So it's a cheering news that this has come, and we believe that this situation, these non-kinetic and kinetic efforts must be intensified even at this period, this year-tide season, where there are some threats, so that we will not have any of our citizens being taken away. So while we celebrate this, the security forces must continue to intensify on their work, and the government in the local communities must also make sure that those that are coming within their communities are those that they can actually vouch for, or else they should report immediately, because this time is calls for every citizen to be very, very vigilant and careful.
Absolutely, absolutely. Our reporter, Jesse Tafida, who reported on the operations of Hardenkai in Borno, of course, said that the personnel, military personnel, security agencies, they are in a high spirit at the moment because of the victory, recorded. About 17 insurgents, killed. How can security agencies strengthen their intelligence gathering capacity to ensure that they always nip these situations in the bud before they happen?
Yeah, again, it was a victory for Nigeria in the Northeast, particularly in Borno State, because with the recent acquisition and deployment of some platforms, particularly mine detecting equipment that are helping to dictate these IEDs that are being planted on some bad spots on the highways, because that is one strategy that these insurgents have taken recently, to be planting IEDs along the roads, along the routes that people are going to be traveling, and also targeting the security forces. So I think it calls that everybody must be very, very vigilant. Of course, I know that they are aware, the security forces are aware that while they sweep the roads, as we call it in security, they should also be very, very careful for some of the officers, some of the insurgents that might be hiding by the bush paths, and we'll also call for total what we call bush clearing at this point, because after the rainy season, the flanks of the roads are now being taken over by weeds. So it's time to embark on the massive bush clearing, so that if any insurgent is hiding along the road, they can easily be dictated. And it's also called for citizenship awareness at this period. We must intensify, like I said earlier, not only in Niger, but across the country, that the citizen must be very, very cautious now, even as we are celebrating. Be very, very attentive of the surroundings.
Yeah.
The security forces cannot be everywhere at the same time. So
Absolutely.
they need the citizens to be able to provide them that information they require. And I followed up the case in with the Operation Harding Kai, and I can tell you it's part of the intensified work by the current theater commander to ensure that the people of Borno State and Yobe State and Adamawa celebrate in peace without any disturbance by these insurgents.
Absolutely. Patrick Agbambo, CEO, Security Watch Africa. It's a good place to leave it. Thank you very kindly for, of course, giving us your thoughts on these issues.